Everybody, I'm just doing a quick part 2 to Maya Millete. I wanted to hone in on a couple of areas because I know the area that I gave, or the areas I gave, was quite large. So what I'm going to do is tell you exactly where I would be looking. Exactly. The area, this is the 911 chart, and I'm sticking with this chart because, well, the planets haven't moved that much to change the lines. And also, I always use 911 charts, and they're very accurate. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw a line at 20 degrees. Well, actually, we'll start at 11 degrees of Capricorn, 20 degrees of Capricorn, 24 degrees of Capricorn, and then 2 degrees of Aquarius from her home. Those are the lines where I would be looking along, 10 or so meters either side of and in between. So this is the chart. Let's have a little look. So this is the map, and here is where she was last seen. Now this circle here, I'll change tools, you'll see is 1.1 mile out from the house. So the reason why I've done 1 mile is because on this chart here we have the ascendant and the I6. So all the angles are at 1 or 10 or 11. So we start with 1.0 and 1.1, then go out 10 miles, 100 miles, so on and so forth. So this is that distance for the angles on the chart. Okay. Now what we're going to do is draw those lines, and they're going to tell us where we need to look. Degrees of Capricorn, when we turn it to whole sign, is 0 degrees of Capricorn is 270 degrees. So 11 degrees makes that 281 degrees. So that's the very first line that we're going to draw. Because it's the end of the matter, the IC, it's actually a very good starting point for looking for her. Okay, so I've got my line tool starting at the house. Now you'll see this here. We're looking for 281 on the bottom, the bearing. And I want to go to this 1 mile line. Oops. Right there. That is the very first and most bottom line, which represents the end of the matter. So let's zoom in here. So as you can see, from the house through this park. Now look, if I was going to be really specific and I was searching, this is what I would do. I would actually look in this bush here, around the park, behind the park here, literally following this line where you can. Now this line crosses over into this area here, which interests me, which happens to be this station. We'll keep going. And it crosses over onto this main road and then stops at the 1 mile mark, which is over here. So that's the first thing. The very first line, the very first place to look is along there. Now I know it's a big area, but if you stick to where the line is and just look around it each time, you know, that's how searches work. You have to start somewhere and you keep going and you keep going. So literally follow the line along this area here. Obviously consider where cars can go, where they can't, where might be an easy spot to go. And obviously I think that we're looking for somebody that's deceased at this point. That's pretty obvious. I don't think she's going to be wandering around here. But also remember that these lines can often give us directions as to where people did go. So, you know, consider consider the road lines and what you know about this area. But that's the first line. That's the IC. So now we'll draw in the second line. The second line is going to be 20 degrees of Capricorn, so that's 290. Then the next one is 294. And then after that, it's 302. So I'm not going to keep coming back and forth. So we're going to draw 3 more lines, which represents all of these planets here, which is Maya, the possible suspect, where the children were as well, all incorporated in the next lot of lines. 290, 294, and 302. That's the conversion of these planets into miles. Okay. Grab my tool, start at the house. 290 is the first one. That's the sun, and the sun represents Maya. Actually, I'm going to look back 2016. Let's get accurate. 280, 16, 290, sorry. Ooh. That's exactly where the sun line is here. So we'll zoom in. It's going a little further out. When we see wedges like this, this is where I'd be looking as well. So I've said look along the line, but go to that line. If you're in this area, walk that far. This, I don't know what that is. That's piquing my interest every time I look at it, this area in it. But so this is the sun line, and this is going just further up, but more into this area, which I've said it piques my interest. And again, there's some areas here too. So off South Bay Road, I don't know what road that is, but I would be looking at coming off of this road here and looking around where these lines are. So you can come off a road, and then wherever you are, you always want to look 10 to 20 meters either side. So yeah, this area here, that's interesting. You always want to look, like, people are quite predictable. If somebody's going to do something with somebody, often they'll drive along a normal road and then they'll go, oh, look, there's a turn off. They turn off, drive a little bit, think, oh, they're in a panic by this stage because they want to get rid of somebody. So they put a body either side of the road or wherever it is they've just driven to. So common sense dictates that you go off these roads around here and check in that just a little bit. What you have to figure is that if he is carrying her, how far can he carry her from her car to an area? That's where you have to look out. So, I know it would be very hard to look along here, and I can't imagine that she's just going to be laying in the middle of this desert here where there's hardly any trees, but I'm certainly interested in these sort of bushier areas and along the back here. So that's 2 areas specific, very specific, and only going out 1 mile. Some people have wondered about the reservoir here, and you'll note when we do the next lot of lines, if we go out 10 miles, it'll go up there. So the next one was Pluto, and that's at 294. Right there. Very, very close. So again, when we see a bunch of planets together so closely that form a wedge, I can't deny but to say that this entire wedge needs to be looked at, but should be looked at from the point of view of each line, I think. So this one goes in up here pretty well, and this stands out here. Bit of bushland. I would be looking there, okay, along the line. Now, the other line was 302. Whoops. 302 is Mercury and Saturn, and 302 is right here at the substation, which is what this whole area interests me, whatever this is and this substation. So anyway, that's all the lines, and they all start from the house and go this way. So this would be my first line, the bottom one. Then I would be working my way up. I'd be following these roads, seeing if there's trails, like this road here, for example. If you can drive down here, look, you can drive to the end there, and then how far can you walk? That far? You know, if you're in, I don't know what this is. Is this a railroad track? I don't know what that is, but if you can drive on that or around tracks, look a little bit to the left and the right of the track, because somebody carries somebody out of a car. So that's my advice with these areas. Drive and look at, put yourself in the position, as awful as it is, that you're trying to get rid of somebody and you're in this area. Where's the quickest place that you're going to go to because you're scared? That's the mindset you need to have when searching, in my opinion. Now, if we were to go out a lot further, see that these lines, so we can start here, 302, oops. It's interesting, 302 gets us right to the bay. Let's see how far out that is. Oops. It's just 1.9 miles, which is nearly the position of the sun, actually. So that's actually quite interesting. The line crosses through there, and it's interesting to me, that little bit. And sometimes we see things on here when I look. I know it's happened in the Gannon case. Sometimes things just stand out and I'm like, what's that? What's that little road? And then you could drive down here. There's a rocky area along the water. Saturn, Capricorn, the end of the matter is rocky. So that's interesting. So the very entrance of this reservoir is interesting. And then that would go all the way through to here, but we're not going to go that far just yet. So again, this is the entire area I'd be looking. Now I'll show you how far it is exactly. Okay, that's 110 acres. The perimeter is 2.33 miles. I know it's a distance, but if I were to be searching, like I said, I would be starting on particular lines, like I showed, driving. You can't just start walking and search everywhere. It's not going to work like that. It needs to be done in segments. And the very first segment is around this park, behind the area, behind this housing, around this bit here, and then absolutely, if you can pull off this road here into here, have a look around here as well. I'm going to leave it there for now. I think I've made it really explanatory where I'd be looking. This is just 1 mile out. obviously he could have driven 100 miles out, the perpetrator. But we have to start somewhere. So this could just be the second, hopefully not, but the second in a long line of videos. We'll go further out next time, but the lines are going to be in the same position because it doesn't change. So we're just going to be extending these lines. Okay, guys, I hope that helps and makes it a little clearer. They're the areas I would search, and I'd be going off of these roads here. And if you do, please be careful. Make sure someone knows where you're going. Tell the police, do whatever you have to do. Legal jargon insert here. And take care. Talk to you later. Love you all. Bye.